On any given blockbuster, a movie studio can be expected to spend as much as half the film's production budget on marketing alone. But what happens when, for various reasons which we'll explore, a film starts to market itself? What happens when two independently anticipated films made by different studios form a symbiotic relationship? Should studios capitalize on this? Or would that ruin the trend? Should Warner Brothers and Universal, for example, let Barbie and Oppenheimer market themselves? Or is there even such a thing as self-marketing?
Explaining the Barbie-Barbenheimer phenomenon. What is self-marketing? In short, Barbenheimer is the culmination of two movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer. Since both films came out in the same day of the same year, fans created a trend where they were debating who would win the final film debut. The fans theorised this as a sort of war or competition between both films and took this in full stride on the internet, thus creating the Barbenheimer trend. Both films had their own marketing ploys through their PR teams, which worked very well, but one thing that really took off was the self-marketing of both films without much effort due to the Barbenheimer craze. Ever since both films were announced, there was a lot of hype on realising the release date for both. For the marketing of 2023's Barbie, the Warner Brothers marketing department had been working overtime to churn out as much publicity for the movie as physically possible. Coming off of COVID, all the major studios needed a win, something to prove that cinema as a whole was still the cash cow it had been in the past. They partnered with countless different companies, everything but from Xbox to Airbnb. As a result, everyone and their mother was now talking about Barbie and the marketing that surrounded it. Now you can't even think about the colour pink without thinking of Barbie. Let's begin with the clothing brands that partnered with Barbie. Throughout the film, there were countless memorable outfits, and of course clothing companies took advantage of this and decided to release their own ranges of Barbie-inspired clothing. For example, we have Zara and Hot Topic. Starting off with Zara, they really honed in on the modernisation of Barbie's legacy of iconic outfits, such as making the Western Barbie and Western Ken outfits more applicable to real life in 2023. They muted down the colours but still kept in line with the whole pink theme, bringing in customers and fans of the movie that wanted a more understated look, which still related recognisably to the movie. In Hot Topic, however, they really played with the whole Barbie Land theme, incorporating more elements of the movie into their film clothing and accessories. They used catchphrases from the film, for example this t-shirt, which reads Mojo Dojo Casa House. Wearing this shirt gave you a sense of exclusivity, as only someone who had seen the film would understand the tagline.
I'm just having some brewski beers at my Mojo Dojo Casa House.
The more affordable and lower tier brands also did an amazing job promoting the movie. Take for example Spirit Halloween and Primark. Spirit Halloween had a great opportunity to dominate Halloween this year with detailed Barbie and Ken costumes, and dominate they did. Western Barbie, Western Ken, Neon Skater Barbie, Neon Skater Ken, Gingham Barbie, and even the Barbie pink power jumpsuit. These costumes kept the Barbie hype train alive even almost 3 months after the film's release. While Barbie's theatrical run ended a while ago, this was perfectly timed to help out with the film's release on digital. Lastly, Primark. When we walked into Primark during the summer time, all we saw was pink. T-shirts, jackets, all displaying the Barbie logo. Warner Brothers knew we would want to buy clothing and accessories related to the movie, so why not slap the logo on front of a plain t-shirt and ramp up the marketing on a £5 product. There were socks, pyjamas, bags, stationery sets, hair accessories and beauty accessories. You couldn't avoid it, and that's what got us in those seats. $1 billion worth of us. On top of all this, we had the sort of random brand partnerships that nobody really thought would happen, but happened anyway. One of the biggest promoters for Barbie was Burger King, which is interesting considering the complex themes around body insecurity and body positivity in the film. Essentially, a running storyline in the film was that Barbie, while being beloved by girls for decades, had been detested for millions for making them feel like they couldn't be Barbie. Comparison, as they say, is the thief of joy. Of course, the film ends with the message that this was completely unintended and that everyone can truly be Barbie. When they brought out the Barbie burger, which is essentially just a regular Burger King burger with bright pink sauce in the middle, everyone was talking. Cold Stone Creamery also came out with a Barbie soft serve ice cream, all that glitters is pink, and a cake entitled Best Cake Ever, in response to which Pinkberry released a similar product entitled Barbie Land Berry Pink Frozen Yogurt. Xbox unexpectedly released new controllers and themed consoles in the style of Barbie. The console itself is pink and comes in a sort of case that resembles the Barbie dream house, with the controllers being representations of the clothing worn by the characters of both stereotypical Barbie and Ken. Finally, Airbnb performed the ultimate stunt of actually creating a real-life dream house that people can rent out for a night to stay in. It included everything a Barbie lover would want, including swimming pool, disco area, and not to mention, the entire house was painted in the colour Barbie pink, not to be confused with regular pink. Now, that's not where the range of Barbie affiliated products ends, but we don't have time to list them all.
What would have happened if Warner Brothers and Universal had foreseen this? What if a particularly internet-savvy social media intern had coined the term Barbenheimer back in 2022, and not some random Twitter user, Matt Niglia? Would it have ruined the joke? Quote-unquote, killed the hype? We've already seen studios attempting to repeat this trend. September 2023 saw the advent of Saw Patrol, the DOA attempt to start a movement surrounding the joint release of Saw X and Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie. Right off the bat, Saw Patrol was never going to work. Those two films were on the absolute opposite ends of the spectrum of cinema, ridiculously so. One was for hardcore torture porn fans, and the other was for kids. Well, wasn't it the same way with Barbenheimer? Was that not why it was funny? That the films were so different? Well, yes, but not so different that the audience demographics couldn't possibly overlap. Millions of Barbie viewers went to Oppenheimer. Millions of Oppenheimer viewers went to Barbie. None of the Saw X and Paw Patrol audience demographics are overlapping, except maybe dads. Recently, we also saw another attempt to market the Five Nights at Freddy's movie in tandem with the new Taylor Swift album 1989 Taylor's Version. This time, the joke was in relation to a piece of Five Nights at Freddy's FNAF lore called The Bite of 87. A piece of lore which didn't even end up being featured in the film. Suffice to say, The Bite of 89 didn't go down too well either. So, is there anything to this whole self-marketing trend in the end? Is it a trend at all? I think it tried to be, but I don't think it's coming back in a big way, unless simultaneous sequels to Barbie and Oppenheimer are released, one of which, more than the other, seems unlikely. I think that in terms of the film's self-marketing itself, Barbenheimer was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but it worked. Furthermore, while this symbiotic self-marketing chain reaction exponentially boosted both films at the box office, it looks like the relationship was a tad one-sided. While Oppenheimer making $948.9 million is nothing short of incredible, it pales in comparison to Barbie's $1.4 billion gross. It definitely appears as though Barbie lifted up Oppenheimer more than Oppenheimer lifted up Barbie. This is supported by the fact that Nolan's last film, Tenet, only made $365 million and was not backed up by a pink-themed counterpart. However, Tenet was also the first major blockbuster to be released after the pandemic, so that point is left slightly unclear. Essentially, what we can take from these failed repeat attempts is that a phenomenon like Barbenheimer has to come about organically in the minds of the prospective audiences. That is the essence of self-marketing, and I can't think of any other examples in the history of movie marketing that could be compared to it. The only successful concept that shares similarity is the audience reception to terrible films such as The Emoji Movie or The Room, which ended up self-marketing by accident just based on the word of mouth surrounding how awful they are.
Comparing self-marketing to traditional and non-traditional marketing campaigns, is it better or worse? The logical next question here is, sure, self-marketing was effective in this one scenario, but maybe it can't be replicated. But should studios even want to try? At its best, it is a self-marketing phenomenon like Barbenheimer better than, say, an extremely effective linear marketing campaign like those used to promote the Avengers movies. For these films, especially for the first three, it was a simple matter of put these movies in front of everybody's faces until they give in to the hype. For Endgame, self-marketing was essentially in play off the back of the success of Infinity War, to the point that the trailer revealed basically nothing, even omitting the name of the film from the title, and it still garnered 157 million views. While these films are both extreme examples, it's important to consider both these practices of regular marketing and self-marketing at their revenue peaks. The critical difference between forcing a marketing campaign on an audience rather than letting them quote-unquote market it themselves is that with self-marketing, the audience feels more involved. They don't feel like they're being sold a product. They feel like they're in on a joke the studio isn't, and that's cool. Is there a happy medium then? If regular marketing isn't cool, and self-marketing can't be replicated, then what's the solution? I believe the solution is one which lies in the late 90s. Cast your mind back to the marketing campaign for The Matrix. That was a perfect middle ground between these two concepts. The audience felt like they were discovering something when they trailed over whatisthematrix.com, like a burgeoning, trench coat wearing, bullet timing internet sleuth. Still, the studio controlled the narrative. They controlled the image surrounding their film, shaping the discourse. They avoided the possible ways that self-marketing can go wrong. If Warner Brothers and Universal had foreseen the goodwill destroying backlash the Barbenheimer trend received in Japan this summer, they almost definitely would have not sanctioned the trend. It's a good thing they didn't, and that it was in the hands of meme creators who don't think about anything.
In conclusion, this year's Barbenheimer was a truly once-in-a-lifetime cinematic solar eclipse which I don't think will reoccur anytime soon. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. It was fun while it lasted, but at the end of the day, studios need to be able to control the narrative surrounding their own product, and furthermore, if it happened again, it just wouldn't be as much fun.